Hello Aries, it's your turn for your reading. Do keep in mind this is a general reading and may not apply to... Sorry, over there? Okay, that thing wasn't on. Anyways, Aries, this is your general reading. It may not apply to all of you out there, but those who feel that it is their story and what's going on. If it's not your story, it's not your story. Keep in mind, Pluto is in retrograde in Capricorn right now, which is kind of crazy energy, I feel like. The North Node leaves Cancers and go into Gemini, I believe, March 12th, and I think May, not March, May 12th, and then I think May 5th or 4th is when Venus goes retrograde, because it's in Gemini right now. So if you have Gemini in your chart, it could affect you. But yeah, let's get into your reading, Aries. Alright, so we have the Three of Cups, we have the Death card, we have Two Wands. So I do feel like a new energy is coming. For some of you, you've been single for some time, and I feel like new love is coming in. I really feel like you're in a happy moment, but I feel like it's the healing that you're going through. For some of you, you're in a transition with your relationship. I do feel like a lot of things happen in Aries seasons, or what happens in Aries season stays in Aries season, I'm feeling. But I feel like you've gone through a rebirth of some kind with a lot of these dead energies, and I feel like you're coming in a new place, new direction in your life, especially with new love. But I do feel like if you've been waiting on someone and it hasn't happened, I do feel like in the next weeks or so, things are closing out. I do feel like there is a tower moment. Maybe you're dealing with Cancer. Maybe you're in a relationship with Cancer. I do feel like an old way of living is done, and I feel like a lot of our struggle, especially have Aries and Mars, it becomes crazy with our minds sometimes, and I feel like it's getting out of your head most of the time, because maybe you've been in your head, Aries, for how you view relationships or whatever the heck's going, and I feel like you're kind of like you're clouding your judgment, and I feel like you're basing too much on something. So it's about inner strength, inner guidance, inner knowing what is your truth, how can we obtain it, and what's the information. Is it true? Is it the ego? Is it something that needs to end? I feel like you're going through a lot of transformation or mation when it comes to your thought patterns, when it comes to how you view relationships. And I feel like with Aries, they can be in their head about something in their relationship for a long time, especially when it seems like their partner's not hearing them, or it seems like their partner's not doing everything that they want them to. And it's really hard, because I feel like with Aries, we want things done the way we want to. We're almost like Lilith to that point where we have to have everything planned out, scheduled. But I just feel like it's about going with the flow of things, and how life goes sometimes is that sometimes things can be unpredictable. So I'm sending you all the energy of love and affirmation you guys need for the month of May to get through it, and the transition of the energies. So let's see what's going on in Aries love life. But for some of you, you've been having a lot of relationship transitions. A lot of you have had to do things on your own, which you're fine. But I feel like there's a lot of mischievousness going on in love. So maybe you don't feel like yourself completely in a relationship. Maybe you're starting to see things about your own self, maybe about your partner you don't like. Alright, so there is a new beginning you want to have, Aries, in this relationship. Maybe with another Aries, or that has that placement in it. I just feel like it's about the restrictions you may be feeling, the deceptive, the trickery. You want to know what's real. And I feel like you may be feeling like this tension with your partner, the energies where it's like you need to see things from a better perspective. I don't think it's necessarily seeing them from a better perspective. I think it's about not seeing this conflict that internally and emotionally you're at war with yourself. And I think it's about not so much taking the action in your life, but being more easygoing with things and not so hard on yourself about how you see things, how you want things to look like in a partnership. And I think it's about stop playing the game, stop playing the victim when it comes to not receiving the things that you want exactly the way that you want, especially when it comes to partnership. And I feel like you have a lot to give, you have a lot to offer, whether people have neglected you or you feel like something's out of balance here. And I feel like if they can't see the true value of who you are in a love situation, then they're not worth your time. I do feel like with the Queen of Swords, Knight of Cups, there's a lot of emotions here for someone. It could have been someone in a past situation that you were connected to, Aries. And I do feel like there's a lot you can give, but a lot you won't give to this past person because they hurt you too many times. You want to focus on what's new, what emotionally satisfies you, what doesn't hurt you, and walk away from something that doesn't serve you well and work on you, work on your self-care, work on what works for you. And I feel like maybe someone didn't appreciate all the hard work you put into a situation. They kind of left you out. And so you're cutting the bullshit. You see the bullshit. And I feel like intuitively you know this. You know that there's something that still needs to be played out. There still needs to be worked through when it comes to your emotions, when it comes to these things in your life that you need to cut out. And I feel like mentally you're exhausted. So you're not balanced right now. You're going back and forth on something about when it comes to this love connection, when it comes to something that's not really satisfying you completely. I had an incident happen yesterday where it's like, I just wanted, because I know I've talked about it, but like, I just wanted my fiance to be outside waiting for me, but he wasn't. Well, I have to understand, well, he's off. He's not always going to be there when I need him. And that's the thing with Aries. We want people to show up the way we show up. But we have to realize, let the people be them. Let them live the way that they want to. And Aries, we can kind of get in the mentality like Leos where we demand people to show respect. We may not say it, but at the end of the day, we want people to treat us the way that we treat them. We want them to respect us the way that we want them to. But I also feel like you can't demand people to give you attention. You can't demand people do everything to the T, because then that doesn't make them them. Like if they don't work the way that you do, you have to, don't hide your feelings, don't restrict them, let them know how this made you feel, but at the same time understand they're human and they are free to do whatever they want to. People aren't going to show up the way that you want. I think if it's that big of a deal, it can be balanced out. I just feel like just let them know, you don't have to show up every day for me, but I at least want some giving and receiving, because it's like I don't want to feel like I'm giving. And I feel like I was like Leo, Aries, I feel like we want people to show up, but sometimes we don't even tell people we want to be showed up, and then we're waiting for someone to show up. But yet the problem with that is they don't know. So you need to communicate, Aries. Or Aries, if you're dealing with another Aries in their placement, you need to be more understanding that these people love you and that they want you to help them out in these situations. I feel like if you're not helping them out, then it's like you're doing yourself a disservice when you feel like your partner's doing more than you, or like you can't understand why they're so emotional. Well, you need to have a chit chat about what the heck each other wants in the relationship. Because I'm not saying it's going to fail, but I just feel like you have to not expect so much from your partner. I think that's something that got to me last night is, you know, if you're expecting your person to show up at work at a certain time, it may not happen. You have to speak it. You have to ask, can you be here at a certain time? I should be off at this time. And I feel like that was my problem yesterday, Aries, that it's like I didn't tell him. I just assumed he would show up because I mentioned it a few days ago. And he didn't show up. Well, that's not really his fault if he didn't show up. If I didn't specifically ask, can you come after work to pick me up? So we did. It worked okay. It's just my problem was I had to wait. I had to meet him halfway. So I think that's the problem, Aries. You need to be willing to communicate your needs. And maybe that's a problem you've been having is you've been suffering in silence. I'm going to call that this reading suffering in silence. But if you don't communicate what you want, your partner's not going to read your mind. You know, if you're insisting that they do something for you, you need to let them know, but don't make it out to be about, not so much about you, but so much that you have to do this or else. You know, I just feel like if you want them to show up for you, tell them what you want. You know, be upfront, be direct, don't cut around corners. I know as a woman, I don't know if it's just a woman thing or me as a thing, and I'll close with this for your reading, is I'm kind of a bratty, queenie type vibe woman that I want someone to first, yes, love and respect me, but also too, it's like I want them to read my mind. But as women, that's kind of impossible because sometimes men have a one-track mind with work, finances, everything, that sometimes they don't look at the details of things. I mean, most men do, but when it comes to women's petty needs, you know, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I just feel like some men, you know, are focused on the comforts of home. Like when it comes like their day off, they don't want to walk that long. Like let's say it's literally a 20-minute walk to get to your job. And do they just want to spend their raking hour to wait for you? I don't think that's a problem to wait. I just feel like, you know, if you don't voice something to a man, I feel like sometimes they'll just take it as, oh, she's fine. She'll let me know when she's done with work or whatever. But then it's like you make a big deal after work that, oh, I thought you were going to be there. Well, you didn't tell him. And it's kind of like this, and I'll close, I promise. A few times, you know, my fiance would get cookies or something from the other house, his mom's house. And I would see him with the cookies, like, why didn't you get me a cookie? And he's like, why didn't you tell me you want a cookie? Well, you didn't let me know that you were going to get cookies. Well, then you should have told me you wanted cookies. How am I supposed to know that you were going to get cookies? You know how that goes? You know, you got to communicate what you want. If you see something, you should say something to your partner and say, I want that. Can you get me some? But to assume that they're going to get you those cookies is not very helpful to them. I think that's being a disservice to them. But I do feel like if you've communicated enough about your needs that aren't getting met, if it is sexually or whatever, food-wise, or coming to work on time for them to pick you up, then it can get out of hand if you're just assuming they're going to be here for you. But you didn't let them know. So how are they going to know? They're at home relaxing. Like, I'm relaxing. Why do I want to walk all the way? You know, it's just a guy thing, I guess. Anyways, just go easy on your partner this month, Aries. All right? Trust me. Communicate better with them. Tell them what you want. Be direct like the Aries I know you are. Anyways, bye-bye.